I gave this one a 6 out of 10. It probably would have got higher if Shane McMahon didn't annoy the hell out of me.
You get a 6.5.
All right, so yeah, very similar scores. Again, that's where some of the deduction came in. Is just like, Shane, can we not? So this was probably one of the best matches of the night. Mankind versus The Rock in a last man standing match for the WWF Championship. What'd you think about this one?
Ongoing storyline. They were matches all the time, especially around this for a number of months. I remember seeing all their matches, and it's just they did really good. It's just back and forth, good action, good storytelling, and they had one more battle after this, and I gave this match a 7.
Gave it a 7. I actually gave it an 8. They
good.
both had to get help from medical at the end of it, and it was one of those where they built up the story long enough to where you kind of wanted to see someone just win. And the commentary did try to sell that there will be a winner of this match when there wasn't. There was a draw. I mean, Rock remained champion. It definitely protected Mankind as well, because Mankind was always portraying this character that you can beat him down, but there's no you weren't going to beat him. You would have to basically destroy the man.
Foley was champion.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I meant Foley.
Rock won the title back within a few weeks later.
The sad part is I wrote down Mankind keeps championship, and I still said The Rock.
Honestly, at first when I saw the match, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I put Rock as champion, and at first I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't draw back to the memory. And then I thought they said The Rock. No. And I realized there was maybe somebody said, maybe it's one of those guys that said a botch on commentate. I don't remember, but a few weeks later, Rock won the title back in the ladder match between him and Foley, and that's where it resulted in a Big Show chokeslam Foley off the ladder, which resulted in a match at WrestleMania against Big Show and Foley, and obviously that goes into the Rock versus Stone Cold at WrestleMania. So that's the last match between Foley and Rock, and their feud, and eventually turned into the Rock. Eventually.
Yep. The Rock and Sock connection.
I don't remember that same year at the top of my head if Foley and Rock had any much more going on, at least in a big feud scenario. But it was a good match. Definitely was, and I definitely would go to 7. It was a draw, of course, but they decided a winner, like you said. In a few weeks period after that, but definitely was the highlight. He smelled the Rock's good.
He's cooking the brains that he scrambled to Mick Foley by hitting him with unprotected chair shots.
Like that was 12 chair shots.
It was a lot.
Well, I mean, that the Rumble was, and then that 5 chair shots in that match too. Yes, some chair shots, definitely.
Well, I meant the one where he was handcuffed and he couldn't protect himself. That ended up happening in front of Foley's family, and it was definitely in the wrong place, wrong time kind of thing.
Yeah.
So the last match of the night,
the main event,
Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Mr. McMahon in a steel cage match to determine the number 1 contender for the WWF Championship.
Who's going to WrestleMania?
Which, basically, I guess McMahon won the Rumble, became the number 1 contender. He relinquished the number 1 contender. I think he could keep it from Stone Cold. The guy, I can't remember his name, that was supposed to be the commissioner of the WWF, said, well, now it goes to the number 2, which is Stone Cold Steve Austin.
You should know his name.
I can't remember
it. Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels? I couldn't remember if it was him or somebody else. Okay. Yeah, you're right. It was Shawn Michaels that did it, and then basically Steve Austin wanted a match with McMahon. The only way he could give it is if he lost, he would lose his number one contendership for the WWF champion. So the idea is if McMahon wins, you have no number one contender. If Austin wins, he still stays number one contender.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, the way this one ended.
Oh, yeah. Backfired on McMahon. And here we go, seeing the Big Show, Paul White. It was interesting how they just named him Paul White, too. That was a good sell, because they just like, oh, we're not going to name him right now. It was good. We're not going to name him Big Show. And they kept the name Paul White for a while. With the same
I remember seeing toys in KB Toys that said Paul White.
Yeah. They really kept his real name for a while. Well, they said the Big Show Paul White, even soon after that. So it was good to, but yeah, that's where the Big Show came in at. It says sayonara to Bischoff and WCW, and it was good. It was a good debut, and it was like I think it worked out. I mean, obviously it worked out fine, obviously, but it's one of those moments where you see when somebody debuts, especially in a big way like that, with a big person, big name person. You usually see it to where they're going to have their way, but obviously it backfired. So I think it was really well written.
So I will say it backfired because he threw Austin into the cage, prompting him to win. However, the story in this match was absolutely hilarious. One, Jerry selling on commentary made it 10 times better.
Oh, yeah.
10 times better. And there were several instances where it looked like Austin was going to escape, or McMahon was going to escape and Austin pulls him back in, or Austin was going to escape and then McMahon lures him back in one way or another. Like I remember where Austin's coming down the cage and Jerry's like, just drop, you win. Just drop, you win. And Vince McMahon comes up and he's like crying, giving Austin the finger. And Austin just looks and goes, oh, no, fuck this. And comes start climbing back in to beat him up more. Yeah. And then, Jerry's like, why would you do that, McMahon? He's just going to keep coming back. You want to leave him alone.
Yeah.
And I just like Austin's face of like, this motherfucker did not just do that.
Great sell, great moment, man. Great classic. It was, they did a good selling, good booking on that whole deal situation. It was great. It's just, when you have two guys that hate each other on screen, it's so bad. It's just, you get magic like that. And it's like especially being the boss, makes it even better, especially the boss is not your usual, obviously, wrestler and ring competitor. So the whole thing made great sense. It was great booking.
There was one thing I forgot to mention. There was one point where they were going to wheel McMahon out because he was just beating two down, and they're going to wheel him out. And Austin gets on the mic. He goes, "Do you think he's done?"
He ain't done with that.
It was what?
He said, He says, he ain't gonna get off that easy.
Well, there was one. There was one where I think he said something along the lines of, "If you want me to keep whipping his ass, give me a hell yeah." And then that's when he goes, "I'm not done." So he gets down and starts beating him up, throwing him back in the ring and whatnot. And I just like how the camera gets so close and you hear him go, "Come here, you stupid son of a bitch." It throws him right back in the ring.
Oh, so good.
And that was right before the crying middle finger. That was right before that. Yeah. Austin, he definitely portrays an ass kicker very, very well. But I like the fact that he has comedic chops too.
Oh yeah.
Like one of my favorite gifts I will ever see isn't one of my favorites related to wrestling is when he's sitting on top of the turnbuckle and he taps his wrist tape and actually he's checking his watch.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure it's ticking.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really entertaining match. McMahon trying to show disdain from Austin, but not really being able to fight against Austin, and then just Austin just like, well, I'll leave you alone.
Time frame.
Now that you've gone and done that, I can't leave you alone. We'll come back in there.
A few people that was good on the microphone, but oh my god, how could he? I mean, I know that Rock was doing great by far, man. But Austin was over like nobody's business.
He was,
and his mic work was by par, dude. Like nobody could. I mean, I understand once again, Rock was awesome, but Rock was, it was great. He was learning more and more and more. But Austin had that special everything about it. It was him talking. It was just he had that distinct voice. He was there with the crowd. Man, it was just perfect. And I mean, we can name off some of the people that are great on the microphone, but he's obviously, I would say, top 3 by far, my viewpoint. But man,
he is, especially knowing he prefers it, knowing that he's more about comedy. Seeing his stuff and his podcast prior to it going on the network, hearing how he talked and how he is on Twitter, you realize the dude just likes to be funny. But seeing him portray this character and talk about whipping ass and things like that, you could tell. His mic work is, above. One of my favorite stories was actually that came from him and Undertaker when he did the Broken Skull sessions about how his main goal whenever he was in the ring with Undertaker was to get Undertaker to break character.
Oh yeah,
and doing all those things to try and get Undertaker to laugh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wanted to break that character so bad. It was a good attempt, great attempt. Yeah, Taker was very too much dedicated and too much into his character, but it was he tried so hard. But give him an A forever though.
One of the ones that was really good about not breaking character is actually The Rock. Because if you notice when he tried to portray The Rock, he barely ever smiled, and Mick Foley got him to break a couple times.
Yeah,
and, laugh.
Yeah, you can see that a couple times where that would come about. Absolutely, he had a lot of serious characters that were hard to break character. Obviously Taker was not one of them that broke character. It was just he had a serious guys that Austin didn't even break character really until later on. I mean, you can look at his character building into it being the Austin. I mean, before even 90, this is 99. He didn't have that.
Well, when you say he break character, I think are you talking about when he was trying to appease McMahon, that character?
No. What I'm saying is that dating back. I want to go dating back to this thing, time it came in 95. Yeah, 95 it was. But when he came in being Austin, the UFC 96 come around, he had so much of a serious character where he didn't have the humor side. It just is him being just a complete ass kicker where he had that. I mean, he was always an ass kicker, but it was more he had this a very serious character. He had no other way of just being that guy. He was actually being treated more as a heel. But as time moved on, he was able to bring himself out to have that other side of him too. That's what I'm about breaking that anger.
Although I will say I like the fact that they portrayed him as going insane when he was trying to do the comedy stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was cool too. I was just going back to when he first became.
I get it. It's just more or less. Yeah. I get it. It's more or less. I'm just saying, like when he did push that character more. With trying to be comedy, it was awesome that they went the route of him going insane because it made it way better.
I mean,
and then you had the kiss ass Kurt Angle.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Honestly, if you kept the Austin character the way it was, obviously 96, where there just was no other side of him, it wouldn't have worked as well if you move forward to this time period and forward. You would have to evolve the character somewhere along the way to show the other side of him, which is the humorous side too. Little sarcasm a little bit and everything else. So that's what I meant by, I guess, breaking that always serious but evolving it too.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have anything else you want to add to the St. Valentine's Day Massacre?
Stone Cold went to WrestleMania. kicked the Rock's ass, became champion, and that's the bottom